segment, we are so excited that Miguel Rodriguez is on to talk about military mindset and overcoming obstacles. Miguel, thank you so much. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us about what you do?
It's my pleasure. So I'm Miguel Rodriguez. I own a company called City Dog Pack, and we provide dog walking, dog boarding, and dog training services. And I'm starting to transition more into creating content to provide good dog training advice for dog owners. And that's where I'm currently am right now.
Yeah, and today you're on to talk about mindset and the importance of mindset in the pet care industry specifically. So how would you describe mindset, specifically the importance of being tenacious?
Yeah, so mindset is very important. And I get my mindset when it comes to running a dog care business from my military experience. I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years, and I went through the different, different levels of the hierarchy in the Marine Corps. Like when I first got in, I was just a private learning. I was the bottom of the barrel, and I did all the dirty work. And then, I really applied myself, and then I reached sergeant before I got out, and I was in charge of other Marines. So I learned to be a good follower and a good leader, and I use that today whenever I run my business, City Dog Pack, and it just helps me tremendously. And it's the experience that I got in the Marines is just, I have no idea what kind of entrepreneur I would be without it. And it just really guides me through everything, the tough times and the good times. And right now we're in very tough times, and so it's really helped me get through.
Yeah, lean into that a little bit more. What is it about that background, the way you operated in the military, that keeps you going in the hard times?
So, for example, right now we're going through this whole pandemic, and the pet care industry was hit very hard because for dog owners to spend money on pet care, it's almost a luxury. And right now, there isn't much expendable income, so it's a really hard time right now. So there's like a lot of pressure. So in the Marine Corps, it's all about pressure. As soon as you start boot camp, they put a lot of pressure on you. So that they can teach you how to stay poised, which is very important. And as you become a leader later on, things get very tough, especially if you go into combat when the bullets start flying and the bombs start blowing up. You really have to keep your poise, not only for yourself, but for the Marines under you that you're in charge of. And it's the same thing running a business. You have people who rely on you, not only your customers, but your staff members. And when things get tough, they're going to look at you and see how you're handling it. And if you're not handling it very well, it's going to start rolling downhill, and they're not going to handle it well either. And with customers as well, if they see that you're becoming unstable, they'll leave right away. So, stability and poise, definitely, I learned that in Marine Corps, and it's helping me during this tough time right now, during COVID.
Yeah, we don't really think about the poise and what we're communicating, whether intentionally or in a lot of cases unintentionally, to the people around us. So being able to have that level head, that poise, as you mentioned, while you're under pressure, just sounds like it really is very essential to communicating what we want our business to be communicating, especially in these tough times.
Absolutely. And as entrepreneurs, it can be pretty lonely sometimes. You're expected to maintain this level of service and the standard of service. And if you're selling goods, your customer care, everything has to be so tight. But, at the same time, we're also human beings. We go through personal things. We have our families, we have our financial situations, our mental health, which is a big issue right now during the pandemic. So it's very tough. So, but we're expected to still perform at an extremely high level the whole time. And, having something like a guideline to fall back on definitely helps. And, me having the military experience, I know as tough as things are going to be running a business, no one's shooting at me. There's no bombs blowing up around me. So I'm going to be okay no matter what.
Right. And part of that, you mentioned this mental health. What role or what kind of mental exercises or affirmations maybe do you personally work through, or you recommend others do as well?
So, like I said, being an entrepreneur is very difficult. There are going to be phases of your career being an entrepreneur where you're going to have to work all day, every day for long periods of time. But you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And I noticed that when the pandemic first started, I was very highly stressed. So what I would do is just I started eating a lot of junk food. Whenever I got home from work, I'll just drink a couple margaritas, and it started to really drain my energy, and it started to have a negative effect on me, and it was having a negative effect on the way I was performing at work. So you have to make sure to take care of yourself, make sure you're eating right, make sure that you're taking care of your body and you're keeping your physical form in top shape. And there's other things that I do as well. I meditate also. I go on hikes by myself with just one dog sometimes, with no cell phone, no headphones, and just allow myself to think. Take some time to spend with my family, with my daughter. I got to make sure to have that, and because if you're not well taken care of, you can't take care of anyone else. So you have to be selfish in a way, even with your customers, even with your staff members, even with your family members. And you have to have the ability to say no, to take care of yourself so that you can take care of everyone else.
Yeah, being selfish is not a bad thing, right? Like that is so essential to, especially being self-employed and being an entrepreneur when it all depends on you. Yeah, that's really stressful, but that means that you have a lot of agency and a lot of control that you can exert over those situations. And so taking care of mind, body, spirit, being plugged into family, having good connections is really essential to making sure that you are taken care of so that when these obstacles come up, you're able to tackle them, you're able to overcome them.
Absolutely. And I learned that the hard way because like the first half of running City Dog Pack, I was saying yes to everyone. And I was just trying to be, when you say yes to everyone and you try to do everything for everyone, you can't do anything world class. You can't be great at anything. Right. So I learned to say no more often and, take care of myself and first so that I could be in tip top shape. And also when you take care of yourself, when you're in great shape, physically, mentally, and you're motivated, people see that and people become more attracted to you and they want to follow you, and they believe what you say more. When you talk more with more conviction when you're confident, and you're able to resonate your message better to your staff members, to your customers, and everything just works a lot better.
Right. The real danger is there that when you're not taking care of yourself, things will fall off the wayside, whether that's in your business or whether that's in personal life too, right? We're getting this balance from making sure that we are taken care of.
Absolutely, yeah, and you get burnt out. I think what are the numbers with small businesses and how many fail? I think 60% fail after the first year, or even, and I think after the second year, 90, something crazy like that. And I don't think that businesses fail because of a lack of revenue and a lack of sales. I think what happens is that a lot of small business owners just get burnt out.
Right.
Definitely get burnt out. And the thing is that when you're running a business like a pet care business, you're taking care of dogs, there's a lot of customer service involved. When you get burned out, you start to go through compassion fatigue where you feel like no one's really caring about you so much, and you're not even taking care of yourself, so that when someone else comes to you with a problem, you kind of feel like, I don't really care about your problem right now because I'm going through so much. But when you're more fresh and you're taking care of yourself well, and you're well rested, then you can have more compassion for dog owners, and you could just be a better dog walker, a better dog trainer, and a better pet sitter for your customers and for the dogs that you care for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not about just grinning and bearing it, right? It's not about just going, I'll just tough it out for this length of time, because in instances like this, we don't know how long that time could be. Those obstacles could be huge and you might not ever know it. So going about it in this much healthier way, right, of doing these exercises both mentally and physically just keeps you going for that long haul, because we all want to be caring for these pets as long as we possibly can. And that starts with making sure we're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there have been times where I kind of just put my head down and step forward, even though I know that I was getting a little bit burnt out. And I can just see myself whenever a customer will call me with a complaint, I'm just kind of like, I just don't want to deal with this right now. Or if, and to be honest, with dogs that are a little bit more rambunctious and unruly, when you're burnt out, you have less patience for them. So you could be a little bit short with the dogs, a little bit, not be mean to a dog, but just less, you start to experience compassion fatigue. So once I noticed that I'm starting to get burnt out, and this happened recently, actually, last couple of weeks or so, I was getting a little burnt out. So I kind of stepped back, took a little bit of a break, didn't take in any new customers for the next couple of weeks. And I just worked out a lot. I ate well, spent some time with my daughter, and now I feel rejuvenated, ready to go again.
Yeah. So let's talk about the importance of routines in our businesses, and how that has manifested in your experience coming from the military, and how that plays into how you run and operate.
Sure. So my routine, basically, I don't follow it down to a T, but it's pretty much like this. I wake up at about 7 o'clock in the morning. I usually have dogs in my home that I'm boarding. But before I even go and get the dogs, I wake up, I get myself a cup of coffee, and I just sit down for about 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Then I just kind of think about my day. I don't get on my phone. I just sit down, enjoy my coffee, wake up a little bit. And then from there, I go downstairs. I get the dogs' leashes and harnesses ready. If they made any mess, I clean that up. Then I go outside, and going outside is really important for me. I got to feel some sunshine. So if it's the summertime, if it's not too cold outside, I always make sure to take my shirt off and I walk in the backyard just to get some sun, because that's just going to put me in a very good mood. And vitamin D it's more of a hormone than a vitamin. It really just it helps with your mood. It helps with your energy. So I make sure to do that if it's not too cold outside. If it is cold outside, just go on a walk, get the dogs out to use the bathroom, bring them back inside, feed them breakfast. I eat, send out some emails. And then I'll take the dogs on a longer walk before I leave for the day. And before I leave, my wife takes over. She takes care of the dogs. I go into the city. I usually take the train into the city, and I take that opportunity. It's about an hour train ride for me into New York City every day. So I bang out emails. I'll write some content for an Instagram post. I'll start thinking some ideas for a video that I may post. I'll answer DMs. A lot of people have dog training questions for me on social media. I answer those. And then when I get to work, I'm ready to go. I start, it's just as soon as I step into the city, it's like, which dog needs to be picked up next? I pick up that dog to the next dog, walk about 10 miles or so with dogs. And then after that, if I have any training sessions, I'll have 1 or 2 training sessions, and I'll get home. And by the time I get home, I'm just exhausted.
Yeah, that's a long day, but when I'm listening to that, I'm hearing you find these little moments, you find these little pieces of time that you have, and you're using them to take care of yourself, right? Going outside, getting some sunshine, eating breakfast. Crazy idea here, eating before you go. And then, that time on the train, using that for these little things, so that whenever you are doing the walks, you're solely focused on that, and you're instantly ready to hit the ground running as soon as that door opens and get your first client.
Absolutely. And the days that I don't take the train in, I drive into the city, and I make sure to put on a podcast. I'll put on your podcast, and or whatever I need to work on that moment. So if I'm getting out of shape, I'll listen to a podcast on health and wellness. If I'm having some issues with my business, I'll listen to some good business podcasts, including yours. If I'm working on some dog training cases that's a little bit tricky, I'll listen to some good audiobooks, some dog training audiobooks. So I make sure to just try to take advantage of every minute that I have, so that when it's time for me time, my family time, I can be fully present and not thinking about everything else that I need to get done. So when it's time for me to eat, I can actually sit down and enjoy my meal instead of multitasking, eating and answering emails. And there are certain times, in our business, like for example, the holidays, where you're not going to get a day off for weeks at a time, and it's going to be work from when you wake up in the morning till you go to bed at night. But when you keep those situations, those little phases short, and you're not running a business like that every day, you'll be able to handle it a lot better. But if you're running a business like that every day, you're going to get burned out.
Yeah, no, you will, and you sometimes it takes you a while to figure out or realize exactly what's going on, and that's why those routine, and that's why those routines can be so powerful, because once they're set, you just start going through them, and okay, I know there's going to be 5 minutes for me to meditate, because I've set 5 minutes aside for me to meditate. And that can be hard sometimes for people to get a routine in. So what kind of recommendations would you give to somebody who maybe goes, I don't even know where to start when we talk about building a routine?
Well, there's a great book called Getting Things Done. I forgot the name of the author, but if you just Google Getting Things Done, you can find
David
it.
Allen.
Yeah, okay, great. So I'll write things down. So what I do is every Sunday night before I start my work week, I write down all the important tasks that are just non-negotiable that need to get done for that week. I write that down, and then every morning I write out what a to-do list every day. And I make sure that first list that I make gets taken care of first. And then every day I have a daily to-do list that includes some personal stuff for me too.
Right.
And what I do is just I look at my schedule, what it's like during the day, and I just plug things in. And then you can just look at my phone, and then you just follow that. And then after a while, you don't have to look at your phone anymore. You know what your schedule is like, and it just after that is just going through flow. It's like a flow, and the days just fly by. You don't even notice how much work you're actually getting done.
Yeah, that getting things done, what I love about that is he talks about how your brain is meant for creating, not storing information. So get it out of your brain, get it down on paper, get it in an app, get it somewhere so that you don't have to stress about whether you forgot it or not, right? Like that relieves a lot of stress. And when it's on paper, you can immediately go, okay, I see all that I need to do. And as you pointed out, just plug in and find that time. You'll find those holes once you see what you need to get done. And it just starts kind of happening naturally.
Yeah, and another thing that happens with it is when you have that list and you start checking things off, it feels awesome.
Right.
So you're really good about yourself. So when you say, I had 10 things on this list and I got 8 of them done, that feels good. And the next time you say, how can I get those other 2 things done? You squeeze that in as well. And it just helps boost your confidence. And me, I have to do that because, like you said, our brains are meant for creating, not storing information. I'm horrible at storing information. I had a really bad brain injury when I was in the Marines. So it's even more difficult for me to store information. So I have to write these things down because I will forget it.
Right. Yeah. It really is important to get that off so that you stop stressing about it. And I did want to touch on this. We're trying to talking about all this stuff in the context of a military mindset. And I know one of the things that you do is you suit up with a tactical vest before you go out on dog walks. So I was curious what role that does for getting you in the zone, in the mindset of walking and taking care of your clients.
Yeah, so I stopped doing that recently because it was starting to intimidate certain people.
Okay, sure.
Here in New York City, things are getting a little bit rough in New York City. So me walking around with a tactical military vest, some people would just kind of get us. So I stopped that.
Good point.
But the thing is, when COVID first started, so many dog owners were so apprehensive to have a dog walker come to their house to pick up their dog, and they were afraid of contamination and all those things. So I needed to carry a lot of cleaning supplies, hand sanitizer, gloves, all that stuff, because we didn't know much about anything about this whole virus.
Right.
And I kept everything in my backpack, and it was just too much of a pain in the butt to pick up and drop off the dogs, dig in my backpack. But with the military vest, I had everything right in front of me. It was just easier access just to grab everything. It was just a lot more efficient than digging in my backpack. But what it also did was it did kind of put me in a mindset of when I was in the Marine Corps. When I was in the Marine Corps, and I was especially in Iraq and Afghanistan, you have to be ultra diligent, and attention to detail is really important. You can't get complacent because when you do that, people die. So when COVID started, I had to be really alert. Who's around me? I don't know who's contaminated. I don't want people getting close to me. What am I touching? I had to be attention to detail. I had to make sure to wipe down every single dog before I dropped them off. I had to make sure that be ultra aware of what I'm touching and, when's the last time I washed my hands. So it kind of did help me put me into that mindset of, ultra awareness. And it definitely helped as soon as I put on that vest, and that was the same vest that I wore in Iraq. So as soon as I put it on, I had that mindset, and it helped me get through that really tough time with the first 3 months of the pandemic.
Yeah, and I love that because it's taking this physical object in the world and translating it into this mindset that we have. And that could be, and we can start making those links ourselves if we put on our uniform, if we've got a branded shirt or branded jacket. Start making it that when you put that on, you're going to do some certain things like and just start making those links back to that mindset. If you struggle or, especially during really hard times, as many reminders as you can have, whether that's a routine, whether that's putting on certain clothes, whether that's driving a certain way, to get you into that point where you are focused, where you're paying attention, where you are aware of everything going on, and you just start closing in on what you want out of that day. Absolutely.
It definitely helps. And the uniform thing, when you're wearing a uniform where you're wearing your company logo on your shirt or on a hat, you tend to behave differently. You have a little bit more discipline. You start to walk with a little bit more pride, which is very important in my opinion, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that, that's kind of being self-aware of where we are in the world and what we're projecting. So how does this mindset come in to play for self-awareness?
Yeah. So self-awareness is very important because as an entrepreneur, one of the things that you have to be self-aware of is where your strengths and weaknesses.
Mm,
So in the Marine Corps, even when I became a sergeant, I was in charge of other Marines. I knew that even if some of these Marines were subordinate to me, they had certain skills or just certain natural tendencies that I didn't have.
mm,
And if I try to do everything on my own, like I said before, if you try to do everything, you're not going to do anything great.
yeah.
So, and the way I apply that to my business, I'm very aware of what I'm good at and what I'm not good at.
Mm,
And I think what I'm good at is creating, coming up with good ideas, motivating people. I think I have good leadership skills. I think I read people very well. And, my operations, the way I work with the dogs, I think it's like world class. I'm a horrible administrator. I'm a horrible bookkeeper. And I'm not a good organizer, schedule planner. I'm not good with that. So if I have someone on my team that's good with that, I utilize that and I have them help
mm.
me with that and I pay them more. Or, I just outsource those type of things. So awareness is very important in that regard, especially when it comes to running a business.
Yeah, because it's this mindset of being aware of just not ourselves, but our strengths and weaknesses, and how important that is. You mentioned that of like, yeah, I just have to be brutally honest with myself and know that I'm not the organizer. Like that's just what it's going to be. And then the other half of that is being aware enough of the people around you to see who's good at that. Who can I delegate that to? Who am I comfortable with to give that and get that off of my plate so that it can actually get
Mhm.
done with excellence by them?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, for example, in my team, I had my dog walking manager, Matt. And even though he didn't have that much experience with running a business, I saw potential in him.
Mm,
He had this really good quality I noticed with him is that he's a very lovable guy in the sense that when you talk to him, you trust him. And also he's very good at de-escalating situations to where, if there's a situation that's pretty tense with a customer that's upset about something, he can present himself very well and he has a really calming effect on people. So me, I'm a little bit, even though I think I'm a nice guy, I'm a little bit aggressive and I can kind
mm.
of like be a little bit intimidating for some people, a little bit too forward. So when it came to customer service, I had Matt do that and he just did a better job than me. So I just let him do that part.
Right. Yeah. Which is just absolutely essential so that you
Yeah.
can focus on things you want to be focusing on.
And the awareness helps you keep your ego in check as well. Because
Mm,
sometimes when you're a small business owner, you kind of have this attitude that no one's going to do anything better than me. No one's going to do it better. And that's not the case at all. Everyone has their shortcomings. And awareness makes you, like I said, control your ego to where you understand that I'm not very good at this or, someone can do this better. And when you do that, you do what's best for the business. And when you're a business owner, you have to look at your business like a baby and think
mm.
about what does my baby need?
Right.
And am I the best person to provide that for my baby? If not, find someone else who can do that.
Right. Viewing people as assets and that they have a role. There's a role that they can and should be filling in the company.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what that does also, it helps boost their confidence as well. Because
Mm,
what a lot of people that work for people who are employees that work for a company, besides making money, there's different things that motivate employees. Money is just one of them.
mm.
Everyone thinks that you just pay them and they'll be happy. No. If a person feels useful in their company and they feel like they're contributing and they're part of the team and part of even the decisions that go on in the company, they love coming to work a lot more. So that's very important.
Right. Now, we've talked a lot about mindset, about taking the physical world and making it into our how we think about the world and being self-aware enough to recognize our weaknesses. But what are some action steps that people can take away from this and start doing today?
Yeah. So in the context of pet care, there are three things I think you should be doing right now. One is don't be so focused on sales right now. No one's making a ton of money.
Right.
No one. I lost in the first few months, I lost about 80% of my company's revenue. I was able to recover some of that. But right now, even though if I get a sale, I'm very happy and I take care of that customer very well. But I'm focused on my position in the marketplace. And that's where everyone should be focused on. focus on your position in the marketplace. And what that means is your position as an authority in the marketplace. And the way you do that is you have to show your face. You have to put yourself out there and get out of your comfort zone. So if you are very nervous in front of cameras, start working on that. Even record yourself on your phone and then watch the video and then, critique yourself, show your loved ones. You have to get on social media and let people know that you exist. Because even if your services are absolutely world class and no one knows, no one's going to go to you. Right. So get out there. And the thing is, if you go out there and you start to make yourself known, you probably get discouraged because it's not going to equate to sales right away because of what's going on. But if you keep up with it, when things start to go back to normal, people start going back to work, people start making money again, they're going to come to you instead of your competition. So the first thing is getting yourself out there. Two is understanding the business side of the pet care business. So, a big mistake that I made, and I see a lot of other new people come in to the dog care industry, is they just focus on the dog care, on the operations part, on being the best dog trainer, best dog groomer, dog walker, dog sitter, whatever the case may be. But then they neglect the business side of it. And that's what happened to me. So I started to grow. I started to get all this business, which was great, but I didn't have the infrastructure to accommodate all that business. So make sure you're reading a lot of books. Make sure you're listening to business podcasts and educating yourself on the business side of the pet care industry. Right. 3, even if you're not a dog trainer, try to familiarize yourself with dog behavior as much as possible, because this is going to do a number of things. One is just going to make your life much easier, because if you're dealing with a rambunctious dog that's driving you crazy, if you understand dog behavior very well and dog training well, you're going to be able to handle it more. 2, if you just apply some of this knowledge that you learn about dog training to the dogs that you care for, and you bring that dog back home and the dog owner realizes that the dog is calmer, or, learned an obedience command you didn't know before, that dog owner is going to love you, and they're going to brag to all their friends and family about you. And then all those friends and family are going to want you to take care of the dog as well.
Right.
And 3, it's going to help you get more business, in the sense that other pet care professionals that are not willing to work with a dog because of certain behavior issues, you're going to be able to remedy those issues, and that's a customer you're going to have for life. So there's a lot of times where I get a German Shepherd that, was a little bit aggressive, a little bit shy, a little bit fearful, and went through 2 or 3 dog walkers and pet care dog sitters that just didn't want to deal with the dog anymore. And then I work with the dog, and I tell the dog owner, hey, all we have to do is do this and this and that with the dog. The dog gets better, and that's a customer I have for life. And also, it helps with my reputation as well. So those 3 things: getting yourself out there, getting yourself known, learn the business side of the pet care industry, and learn about dog training and dog behavior.
Thank you so much, Miguel. Where can people go and get connected and follow along with everything that you've got going on?
So my main hub is Instagram. Just go to City Dog Pack, and then on there you'll find pictures of the dogs that I care for every day. I post a lot of great videos on dog training and dog behavior, and I plan to start a podcast soon. I was talking to you about that earlier. I'm just
very excited about this.
So I'm excited about that too. I want to transition from providing one-on-one services onto creating content and creating online courses for dog training as well.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things going on. Thank you so much for sharing about all of this, Miguel. It's been a real pleasure.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for having me.